Cracking at Clemton Park Village. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, I'm Florian Heiser and welcome to another episode of Heiser Says. Don't worry, I've got my stein of coffee, and I thought today we would look at Clemton Park Village. Now, why would we look at this village? People are asking. Why do you think? Because there's cracking, and this was shared to me by one of my viewers. Thank you very much for leaving it in the comments. And let's have a look at this article. So, residents left terrified after huge cracks appear in the basement of their Sydney apartment building just weeks after hundreds were evacuated from crumbling Mascot Towers. I like how they use the word crumbling. I mean, we know now in previous videos we've gone through the dilapidation report prepared by the neighbouring development about Mascot Towers, that a lot of the cracking was known for a long time. Another viewer left a comment that it's not about the cracking that's in there, it's about the change in cracking because of recent settlement. So that's a good point. So I wonder if this has been what the similarities are. Let's have a look here at where Clemton Park Village is. Now it's to the west of Mascot Towers. I'm going to start mapping all these projects. So we've got Mascot Towers here, and we've got all of the the industrial issues there with the groundwater and restrictions on accessing to it. So I mean, look at this. This is suburbia right near a big shopping center. You've got normal residential houses, and then they've built this big development here. And it was developed by, I'll just bring up this image, it's Fraser Property Group, managed it. I'm only familiar with a few people that used to work at Fraser on a lot of industrial stuff up here in Queensland. I mean, it looks like a pretty standard type of development. I mean, Mascot and some of the issues surrounding it, the buildings were all quite close together. So you could argue it has something to do with perhaps the topography of the location. Whereas we've got Opal Tower as well. You've got Lacrosse Tower down in Melbourne. You've got Spencer Street. We've got now Clemton Park Village with these defects. And what this is just showing us is that this has got everything to do with issues in the construction industry as a whole. These are systematic failures in our industry. So let's have a look at this article. Residents of a Sydney apartment building have been left terrified after several huge cracks appeared in the roof and floors of their basement. The cracks appear to be meters long in the Clemton Park Village apartment block in Campsie, which is only 3 years old. Once again, a young building. Footage shows multiple cracks in the roof, which is now jacked up with props, and another huge crack in the floor of the basement. I mean, so you can see here they've got the images of the cracks once again. The horrific discovery comes months after residents of Mascot Towers were evacuated due to rapid deterioration. I like the terms that they use, the journalists. I mean, to getting excitement and to engage you, and it'll. Okay, sure, it would be horrific if you were just walking down there with all of this stuff in the media. If you're just walking down to go get your morning coffee, at the coffee shop, and you go through the basement and you notice, what the is going on here? So we're not sure if it's going to be the same like what's happening at Mascot right now. A resident told Sun 7 News, we haven't been told much. The developer raised the alarm after one of the builders identified an issue with the concrete slab which was used for the apartment. As a precaution, temporary props were installed and engineers employed to confirm the property is safe, the developer said. Entrances and exits to the building have been blocked with danger signs. Wow. Why are they showing Mascot Towers? Following the deterioration of Mascot Towers buildings and the cracking noises in Opal Tower, residents can expect to see people held accountable for these type of issues. Well, yeah, they should, regardless. The New South Wales Government is implementing 4 key reforms to deliver a more robust regulatory framework for the construction of buildings. The legislation will implement many of the recommendations in the Lambert and Shergold-Weir reports into the building industry. And now we want to hear from industry and wider community to help finalise the legislation, Mr. Anderson said. He's just sitting on his feet. This report, and I've read through the entire report. I've read through the entire Shergold-Weir report, and you can watch it on my channel if you want. If you want to go through all of the videos, I sat down and read through the whole thing. Lots of really good points were made in that report, but it's years old now. It's years old. And, he wants to engage with industry again. He wants to engage with industry again, which I respect the fact that he wants to draw upon industry. And you can't really move rapidly in this situation. I mean, to be honest, this stuff was being built before he was in power, I'm assuming, 3 years ago, or the change of government, or even the legislation. Politicians can only move so fast. It's the civil servants, really, that you have to be, addressing. That it's gotten to this point. I really think a big part of it is to do with the deregulation of our certification industry and the way buildings are procured. I think the traditional form of contract where you had differential relationships between the architect and the builder, and the certifier and the builder, the architect was an impartial body between the builder and the developer or the client, where you had, a clerk of works on site reporting back to the owner or the developer what was happening, independent of the builder. All of these things, they cost more. It's just a waste of money, because, Mr. Developer's already gone. He's sold up. He's gone. Liability's gone. The construction company's gone. Maybe it is a waste of money from their perspective. But maybe we need to start looking at this from a consumer perspective, a consumer protection perspective. We've got all this legislation. Now they're calling for yearly inspections. In as part of the strata apartments down in Sydney, and yearly inspections. And we saw in the dilapidation report that was done on Peak Towers, and I'll link to that video later, the Peak Towers did of Mascot Towers. What are the limitations? What are the restrictions? Because I've seen myself where builders have covered up things, and it wasn't picked up in the dilapidation existing conditions inspection. That was done for investing in multi-million-dollar building. So the other call, the push for registration, licensing of the engineers, that'll fix it. Not really. It won't. These engineers that are working on these buildings are already, I guarantee you, most of them, if they're from a decent-sized company, are registered in other states. They're registered in other states. It has to do with the people that are building these things aren't assuming the long-term risk. The long-term risk is assumed onto the buyers. The buyers are assuming a level of quality and finish because of the marketing spiel that may not be there. So we need to look at ensuring that the ongoing risk is apportioned appropriately going forward. And I really think there have to be some changes to the way these buildings are procured, to how these legal relationships, contractual relationships are allowed, because there's too great a potential for conflict of interest. So here's the 4 key reforms in building regulation. A requirement for buildings to be designed and constructed to plans that fully comply with the Building Code of Australia. Well, yes, okay, whoop-de-doo, that already happens. I guarantee you it already happens. If the certifier stamps it if the certifier hands you your permit to build, then that should have happened. That's whoop-de-doo. I mean, that shouldn't be a reform. Okay? This here is saying there is a systematic failure in your method of building these buildings, in the legislation, the system that you've got set up. That's what that's telling me, that line there. You need to take a step back. Okay? If buildings are not meeting these requirements, how is that happening? Is it because you got Mr. Builder here and you've got certifier working under the builder? You've got the developer over here. And then you got all the buyers here. Is that why? Is it because we're depending on design and construct procurement methods? Is that why? That's what this is telling me. Okay? That is what that's telling me. A requirement that all building practitioners, including building designers, architects, and engineers, be registered to ensure they have the appropriate skills and insurance and can be held accountable for their actions. Okay, well, sure. I see the advantage of that. I mean, honestly, that's just New South Wales catching up with other states. That is just New South Wales incompetence. That's not an innovation. Again, this isn't innovation. It's not innovation, guys. If you live in New South Wales and think, oh, wow, that'll be good, you got that in other states already. Okay? You got that in other states. Introduction of a new industry-wide principle of duty of care, enabling homeowners to seek compensation if a building practitioner has been negligent. Okay, that is already in existence. You already have a duty of care, and you can be sued for negligence. You know, I guess they just want to make it easier for homeowners to do that and not have to take independent legal action and be proven in court. Correct me if I'm interpreting that wrong, guys. In the comments, please let me know. Appointment of a building commissioner who will regulate all aspects of the New South Wales building industry and have the power to investigate and take disciplinary action for improper conduct. Okay, I can see how that may be good, but I can also see, just with my dealings with the QBCC here in Queensland, where we've reported people for illegal and improper conduct, which could have tremendous fire safety, health safety risks, and they didn't give a damn. They did not care in the slightest. Provided evidence, information, written information. Nope. No, sorry. We're just going to chase plasterers who haven't done their trade on sites. You know, that's what we'll focus on, because we can put that in the media. So, you know, I'm a bit cynical about it. But, you know, better something than nothing, really. Better something than nothing, but I'm too cynical. So, guys, what do you think? Is this another one that we're having here? Let's have a look. It looks pretty, you know? It looks pretty. It's all pretty standard construction. All pretty standard construction. You know, you got a nice brick finish. You got these guys here. What do you have here? You know, rendered, little capping. It's the problem. These things are going to just weather, like, they're going to weather terribly. I saw one down the Gold Coast just with the way it weathered and the concrete, and it looked really, really horrible. That's the problem with these rendered surfaces, the flat surfaces. You need to maintain it and clean it and hose it off, and getting access to it is hard. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Do you think this is going to be another Mascot Towers? We'll have to wait and see. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ding the bell to see my daily updates, and I will see you all again later. Bye for now.